Well, hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so now I'm going to review a movie, an Australian film, a Screen Australia film, starring Willem Dafoe, called The Hunter. Now, this is a really good movie. It is based, it's all kind of based on real stuff, it's based on the lore of the Tasmanian tiger, which was a real existing tiger in Tasmania, which has gone extinct, and there's rumors of the odd rare sighting here and there, and sort of this lore that there could be the odd one here and there in these remote places still roaming around and whatnot. And so Willem Dafoe works for this company. They don't really delve that much into it, but it's like a research company, and they make they do different kind of science experiments with different with different substances from animals and stuff like that to make different sort of medicine and whatnot. And he works for this company, and he's somebody who's paid to go out and collect these specimens. So he's paid to go. Apparently, the company knows of this remote area where there's supposedly this Tasmanian tiger, and so he's tasked to go out there and hunt it down, take samples of its DNA and fur and all that kind of stuff, and then hide the body so nobody can find it and get back. They shack him up with this. Somehow they find this guy that's willing to hold him up and have him stay at this place that a woman and two kids, a daughter and a son, are staying. He's going to be staying there with them, and they live really they're complete outdoors people. Everything's done the old school way. Everything's they live off grid. And so it's a little he's a little out of place, and there's some strange moments and some awkward moments because these people just live a completely almost not from his standing point, not very civilized life. And I mean, he's a hunter and whatever, but he works for a high-end company. He's a pretty civilized guy, so he's kind of out of place here. And Sam Neil is also in this movie. He plays the guy that is allowing Willem Dafoe's character to stay here. He plays an interesting character. He actually has a really powerful acting scene in this movie, and in a very highly sophisticated character arc, actually. And his character, I like his acting performance in his character too in this movie. He's sort of a he's a good character, he's a good person in the movie, but he's sort of a more mysterious, kind of darker character too. Same with Willem Dafoe's character. He's very solitary. That's why he's kind of out of place too. He's not looking for much company. He's not into company that much. He's a solitary guy. And so, but he's just trying to do his best to cope with this strange kind of family. But he gets to know them more, and their father is actually, later in the movie he finds out that he actually worked for the same company that he does, but he was out looking for the Tasmanian tiger too and has gone missing. So there's a heavy kind of depression in this household, but then later on he starts to come around, and he starts to get used to these people, and more of his humanity starts to come out, and he starts to get more comfortable and accustomed to these people and starts to really care about them. And and basically, and there's some other kind of shady characters that are out there that supposedly know of this Tasmanian tiger too. And and so it's the landscape photography is beautiful, all filmed on real location. It's all filmed actually there. They only show the Tasmanian tiger at the very end briefly. Really good CGI for that. They came up with a good design. And really good. In the movie is too, when his character's sneaking through the forest and whatnot, he's finding these different, he's way out in the middle of nowhere, but he's finding these different random things that these other few people that have braved the kind of terrain that he's going into have been out there. So it's sort of it's got that sort of like, like it's kind of creepy, like looking over your shoulder, like what kind of maniac could pop out here, kind of a thing, or what kind of situation could go on. They had a few real animals in this too, some real Tasmanian devils. That was cool to see. Um, yeah, it's a really good movie. But later on in the movie, around the third half of the movie, around the third act of the movie, it gets heavy. A big tragedy happens amongst this family, and it turns heavy. I was not expecting that to happen. I was not that is not the direction I thought the movie was going, and yeah, it really did get heavy for sure. And that's where Sam Neil's acting has a really good acting performance, like I mentioned earlier, and yeah, and yeah, it gets really heavy. And I was gonna have more complaints about the movie. I mean, it's perfect time. It's an hour and 40 minutes. It's perfect length of time for a movie, so it's not too long or anything. I had some complaints about it because it's quite a lot of a drama. It's a drama film, and I had some complaints about not caring too much about the family and like the characters near the beginning and even near the middle. And there was lots of kind of moments that I thought were kind of like a little over the top and a little in your face, and kind of just trying to push these kinds of characters that the actors of the family are trying to portray. But I actually reframe from that later on, because once this tragedy happens, it's one of those things where the rug gets pulled out from under your feet, kind of thing. Like, you all of a sudden understand what the movie was trying to do and what they were gearing you up for, and how they were planning to emotionally impact you with what happens later in the film. And yeah, it's a really good movie. I highly recommend it. It's an interesting movie. It's a very unique take. And yeah, and and then it's very outdoors. At the end of the movie, he does locate the tiger, and I won't even spoil it, even though it's an old. I don't mind spoiling older movies, but this is one that I won't actually spoil what happens. It's actually really worth the watch. So check it out. Absolutely. Yeah, so that's my review for The Hunter, everybody. I think for grading this movie, I think I'm going to give it an A. It's a really good movie. It's definitely worth an A. It's not quite an A plus, but it's definitely an A. And as for cheese, there's no cheese really in this, I don't think. It's a pretty real movie. This is one that I'll actually scrap the cheese and say there's actually no cheese. I mean, there's some moments that are there's a few kind of typical movie moments, I guess, or whatever, but nothing really cheesy. It's definitely not a cheesy movie, so there's no cheese. Yeah, so that's my review for The Hunter. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. Please come back for more.